Oh my God, denizens, have we entered a new golden age of computing? Oh, the excitement! I haven't felt this excited about computer technology since, well, the heydays of Comdex. For you kids out there who cannot conceive of a time before the internet, we used to find out about the latest technologies by going to something called a trade show. We couldn't just search the internet. We actually had to book a hotel room and travel to these 3-day events and wander around from booth to booth. It was mandatory to grab a big plastic bag and take specification brochures from everyone, even the people you weren't interested in. Oh, those were the days when HP introduced HPUCs, and their booth would be suddenly shrouded in smoke, and lithe women dressed in tight silver lame spacesuits would rappel down ropes from the ceiling and arrive at the booth as visitors from the future, telling us about how HP's Unix operating system would lead the way. You don't see that anymore, do you, striplings? Now, it's not only unnecessary, but it would be considered sexist. For sure it was. But that was the era of booth babes. They were the queen bees that attracted the worker geeks. Yes, awful, terrible. I feel guilty. I apologize for enjoying such Darwinian pleasures. But our interest in unattainable women was fleeting, because we were there to experience the attainable computers. Plus, we knew how to talk to computers. Apple II, Trash 80, 286 PCs, 8080s running CP/M, Commodore, and many more. There were 3 or 4 CPU flavors gunning it out. Oh, it was such a great time. Then, at some point, it was just Intel X86. Briefly, plucky Apple tried to make a go of it with PowerPC, but then joined the Intel camp. Now, this is all old news. Skipping through the short presumptive AMD incursion, which Intel fought back with subterfuge and bribery, we entered the CPU dark age, where the top-of-the-line Intel consumer processor netted you a 4-core, 8-thread experience for almost a decade. Apple was dabbling with ARM in their iPhones and iPads. Then AMD started making noises again. Intel laughed at their glued-together chips. But fast forward to now. Go into any computer store and the shelves are filled with AMD-compatible motherboards. Intel motherboards and CPUs occupy the tiniest, furthest reaches of the counter reserved for StarTech connectors. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And seemingly out of nowhere comes the ARM-enabled M1 Max, shockingly competitive against powerful Intel and AMD laptops when they're plugged in. But both are crushed in embarrassment when they have to perform the same tricks on battery power alone. So now we have 3. Well, technically still 2, x86 and ARM. But it's wonderful. Apple's unearthly performance is no secret. It comes from the tight software and hardware integration. For sure, this was no surprise to Intel, as they have been building an in-house GPU, and AMD knows about ARM through their own dabblings. But where development cycles encompass 5 or more years, I think both Intel and AMD were somewhat shocked at the quality of Apple's M1 effort. Apple has shown the way for next-gen computing, a total integrated pipeline with some very custom chips thrown in. I can hardly wait to see what Intel and AMD come up with. Of course, Intel has still to figure out how to make their chips smaller than a floor tile. It's really funny because it's like Apple was building a monster in plain sight. What are you doing, honey?
I'm building a monster.
Oh, that's nice. Now Apple has unleashed its monster. so to speak. And I'm not certain the world of x86 can keep up in the long run. Sure, there is now a sort of Windows on ARM running gamely on Microsoft's Surface Pro X, but it certainly is not the integrated experience Apple has provided. Ironically, it has been reported that Amazon Web Services principal engineer Alexander Graf recently tested Windows 10 on an M1 processor using QEMU virtualization and found it runs pretty snappy. Windows Geekbench scores were faster on Apple's M1 than on the Surface Pro X. Ouch! But that is the path forward. Can x86 with an integrated GPU get down to 10 to 15 watt efficiencies? Can Windows perform within those limitations on x86? I doubt it. Is this the beginning of the end of x86? The Japanese Fugaku supercomputer is the fastest in the world and it's using ARM. Poor AMD. They finally get their x86 shit together and are crushing it, but ARM is now looming. Oh, and let's not forget about RISC-V. Linux on RISC-V will be a killer. Of course, the Achilles heel of Linux has always been that it's just not a good business or consumer productivity solution. Come on, let the hate comments come. I'm ready. But all you have to do is compile Bloopy Bum Bum from the GitHub repository. It's great! But notwithstanding that, I invite everyone to the table to make this the most exciting and interesting time in computing since those models in silver lame outfits descended from hormone heaven to show us the future. So long, denizens. What is it, Wancho? Oh, you have a silver lame lucha libre outfit. Well, damn it, I'd visit any booth that you were in dressed like that. Till next time, so long.